Okay, so we're being live streamed on Facebook right now, and I want to welcome everybody who is watching our fourth annual read-a-thon fundraiser. And we're excited. This year we have Annie Barrows back reading with us. Yeah, we're so excited. I know last year you took a sabbatical and you're back this year, so we're so grateful for your time and effort. We were just chatting and I was saying that we're going to hit our 4 millionth book distributed in 11 years. A vision that our founder Amy had in mind, and here we are, distributing books. But there's way more that we can be doing, and that's why we're doing the fundraiser. So our goal is to ascend to 1 million books distributed a year. So that's why we need people to jump in and support us. But today you have your new book that's out that you're going to be reading from, called Like. I'm super excited about this because it's timely. It's perfect. It fits in well to a lot of the talking points that people are going through right now. I'm going to let you do what you do best. And then when you're done, I'm going to pop back in and we'll do a Q&A with the kiddos that are on this webinar. So thank you so much. And I will pop back in when you are ready.
Okay,
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Eileen. But I want to say, before I get on to me and my books, I just want to say congratulations, Book Fairies, for doing such good work and getting books to kids who might not otherwise have them. That is an amazing mission, and you've done an amazing job with it. So the truth is that, yes, I am Annie Barrows, and I am the author of many books. You might know some of my books, like, for instance, Ivy and Bean, or maybe, for instance, the books about my pal Iggy. But I'm not here to talk about those books today. I'm here to talk about my latest book, which is a whole new type of book for me. This book is called Like. There it is. Isn't it cute? As you can see, it's a picture book. But you'll be very happy to know that I did not draw the pictures, because if I had drawn the pictures, you would not want to look at this book. I just wrote the words, which I'm about to read to you right now. But first, I want you to just look at how cute this cover is. See, it says Like, and it's in very bright colors. Now that I've showed you this cover, I'm going to take the cover off because it'll be easier for me to read without the cover. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? Okay, listen up. Like. Here is the title page, which also says Like, by Annie Barrows and illustrated by Leo Espinoza. Hello. You are you, and I am I. We are people, otherwise known as humans. This makes us different from most of the things on Earth. For instance, tin cans. We are not at all like tin cans. We are not shaped like tin cans. We cannot hold tomato sauce like tin cans. If you open up our lids, nothing good happens. We're not at all like tin cans. What about a swimming pool? We're a little bit more like a swimming pool than a tin can. Like a swimming pool, we have water and chemicals and dirt inside us. But unlike a swimming pool, we don't have a whole lot of people splashing around inside us. Also, we have feet. We can run away into the trees if we want to. Poor swimming pool. We are a little bit like a swimming pool. Here is a mushroom. We are way more like a mushroom than like a swimming pool. Mushrooms grow like we do. They need air and water and food like we do. They make more mushrooms like we do. okay, we don't make mushrooms, we make people. But mushrooms don't have anything to say. And even if they did, they wouldn't have a way to say it. They don't have mouths and they don't have brains either. It's not a rude thing to say. It's the truth. We are like a mushroom in a few ways, but we are more different than we are alike. Oh, look at this thing. This is an excavator. It digs up big piles of dirt and moves them around. We can do that too, but we can't do it nearly as well as an excavator. Is an excavator better than we are? Let's see. Can an excavator tell a joke? No. Can an excavator fry an egg? No. Can an excavator burp? Absolutely not. It's got no brain, no mouth, and no ideas. An excavator can do two things better than we can, but we can do many, many more things than an excavator. This is a hyena. We are more like a hyena than we are like a tin can, a swimming pool, a mushroom, or an excavator. Hyenas and humans, that's us, need food, air, and water to live. Neither humans nor hyenas are made in a factory like tin cans. Neither of us grows out of the ground like a mushroom. Nope. We have little baby humans and hyenas instead. So baby hyenas. Hyenas have brains like we do. They run around really fast like we do. They make lots of loud noises like we do. But hyenas don't say words. They don't tell stories. They don't get embarrassed even when they're caught eating something off the ground. They don't know when their birthday is. And if you invited a hyena over to your house next Thursday, it wouldn't come. Because hyenas don't make plans. Which is fine, because if a hyena did come over to your house, it might try to eat your baby brother. So you're like a hyena in some ways, but if you were a hyena, you wouldn't be like how you are now. And I would run away if I saw you. Hey, it's me. And there's you. Are we alike? We are not exactly alike, but we're both human. So we have to eat air and water and food. Well, we have to eat food and breathe air and drink water, sorry. We both have to sleep and we both wear clothes most of the time. We both have brains that let us tell stories and burp and joke. We both know when our birthdays are, and sometimes we get embarrassed. We are so much alike. Even if you get embarrassed when you fall out of your chair and I get embarrassed when the teacher calls on me, you are still more like me than you're like an excavator. And even if I eat raspberry jello with bananas in it, and you would never, ever eat that in a million years, I am more like you than a mushroom. Even if you speak a language I don't speak, you are more like me than a hyena. See that guy? He's more like us than a swimming pool. So is she. Even that really old lady over there, she's like us too. Only more wrinkled. Wait, look at all these people. They are not exactly like us, but they are more like us than they are different. I am more like you than I am like most things on earth. And I'm glad. I'd rather be like you than like a mushroom. The end. Oh, Eileen, you gotta, there you go.
I was on mute. Sorry. I said I don't like that book. I love that book.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's I think it's a lesson for children and adults, right? At this time to know what it's like to be human and the
Yeah.
different, while we all share lots of differences, there's so much more that we have in common than we do have in different, that are different. So
Always areas where we overlap, even if we're very, very different.
exactly. This is different than your, and these are actually just books that pop up all the time into our, it's upside down, sorry. Our warehouse. I have a ton of them, and I'm actually, these are
Great.
going to go to one of the teachers that is watching live today.
Excellent.
I have a whole set of them, and they're going to go to one of the teachers that are watching live. But this is different than your chapter books. I know you've done one other picture book, but what made you do this picture book? Because it's a divergent from.
Well, I've always been fascinated by the picture book problem as a writer, because when you write a picture book, you're writing half a book. I mean, I wasn't writing with Leo Espinosa sitting right beside me drawing the pictures. I was writing all by myself in a room, and much, much later, Leo came onto the project. So when you think about picture books, it's an entirely different way of thinking about a story. I need to leave enough room for the story to be completed by an illustrator. So that is quite a weird thing to do as a writer. And I've always wanted to do it. I've been trying and trying and trying. And with this topic, with this subject matter, and the way I was feeling like people weren't understanding each other, I suddenly got an idea that I felt could work as a picture book. And I wanted it to be a picture book. I wanted it to be done in this visual way. And so this was like a picture book. I did it all in like 2 days, and it was just sort of, wow, I get it. I get how to do this. It was very exciting for me to make this work.
Wow. And that is, it's when you're writing your chapter book, it's all you. While you have illustrators that come in, the bulk of it is you and your product that you wrote.
Yeah.
But this is teamwork.
Yes.
This is a lesson about teamwork.
When I'm writing a chapter book, I write the story, and then the pictures illustrate the story. But a picture book is something different. Both pieces are the story.
Right. I love that teamwork, because everything we do, we try to give a lesson for the kids that are watching here. And sometimes you have projects where you're working on a project with someone else. So there has to be a give and a get, right? So was there were any of the illustrations, the graphics different than what you thought they were going to be? Were they?
Totally. And I'm so happy, because in my mind, there were two kids talking to each other. That's what I thought. You are you and I am I. I thought there were going to be two figures on the page, but I love it that Leo has one kid addressing the reader, the rest of the world. That made so much more sense. It works so much better. So yeah, it's great. It got better.
Wow.
What I didn't know and he did made it a better book.
Right. So that's the whole lesson, that other people might see things differently, but it doesn't make it bad. Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to compromise and you have to listen to what the other person's saying.
Right.
I see we had a question from Jane. She wants to know, how many hours a week do you work on your books?
Well, okay, we're subtracting all of the time I spend wandering around aimlessly in the backyard, pulling up weeds, and wandering around aimlessly looking in the refrigerator to see if something new has sort of fallen into it. I would say it's probably about 25 hours a week. It's 25 to 30 hours a week of sitting up here, banging away, trying to get something done.
Just trying to come up with ideas for your next book. And
ideas are not my problem. I got ideas. It's actually writing the books.
Okay, so you have to figure out where's the starting point, right? Which we all struggle with. Sometimes you struggle and you just We had another author say, sometimes you just have to write what that ugly copy, that sloppy copy, and just write it, even if it makes no sense, because at least you start getting things flowing. Is
Yes.
that what you do?
Yes. I mean, every book, I write every book over and over and over again. And though I said I did this whole book in 2 days, yeah, I did it in 2 days. And then I did it about another 85 times over the course of the next 6 months, because particularly with picture books, every word has to be really the right one. And, every Ivy and Bean book, say, at least 5 times, much more likely to be 15 times. It's just part of the
Right.
job. Got to make it better.
Yeah, you got to make it better. And there's no such thing as perfect. We keep saying that every single day when we do our readings. There's no such thing as perfect. And it's okay to have to rewrite and rewrite. As much as we might not like it,
No.
sometimes you have to do it so that you can get it to be where it's something that's, the person who's reading it understands what it is and can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Some I didn't see who the name of it was, but they want to know, what was your favorite childhood book?
Well, gosh, it changed over the course of my childhood. But I would say, okay, one of my favorites, one of the really important books for me was Harriet the Spy, which
Oh,
you might not know this book, but it's a great book. And it's about a kid who lives in the city, in New York City, and she spies on her neighbors and people she doesn't even know. She manages to climb up and look in their windows and see what they're doing. Then she writes it all down in a notebook. And I think in some ways that is the best possible training to be a writer. It was just that idea of watching people and writing down what they do. That was the beginning of the whole my desire to be a writer.
oh,
Very-
how old were you? When was it, when you read that book, when you decided to be a writer, or was it
Well,
later?
it was, I actually had a whole other career. I was an editor because I didn't think I was a good writer, but that was when I decided that it was just like the idea that you could spy on people and write it down was so thrilling. And that was sort of, I think that was the seed of becoming a writer.
That's so interesting that you thought you weren't good enough, right? So many of us feel like we're not good enough,
Mhm.
but if we give ourselves a shot, sometimes we are, right? So that's the lesson.
I think my problem was that perfection idea you just
Yes.
mentioned. I thought that if you wrote it down and it wasn't like immediately as great as a book that you found on the shelf, that meant it wasn't any good. And that meant you weren't a writer. It took me a very long time. I was, as I say, I had a whole other career helping writers before I realized, I could do this. And it was a real learning process about process.
So I just want to talk a little bit more about this book. So, what was the main theme that you were, obviously, we're all different, but is there like a message that you were trying to get across?
Well, I mean, I think I did write this book at a certain period of American history, a very recent period where everybody was mad at everybody else. And there's just so much division, so much arguing. And I sort of get this feeling every once in a while, like my child self is watching the world and going, what the heck? What are you people arguing about? And that my child self was sort of, listening to my grown-up self really be angry at other people. And my child self was saying, really, there's so much we could agree on. Like everybody likes ice cream and, like everybody is interested in animals and, there's so much we could agree upon. Why are we spending all this time emphasizing our differences? And I sort of looked at my child self and I thought, that's really a good point, that was the inspiration for that was how it all began. Like, let's go back to a different viewpoint.
So that's your inspiration came from real life things that were happening to all of us.
Yeah.
And that's why I say this is a book for children and adults.
Yes.
It's a book for children and adults because it breaks it down to the simplicity of, we all are human. We all have more alike, and there's so much good in the world and so much good happening. And we need to really focus on that and focus on the good things. And I always take this time to plug our teachers, the good teachers that are out there every day, just working so hard to make sure the kids are getting all the tools that they need to succeed and survive and, be able to read, because reading is so important and it really helps you to be able to to understand the differences that are out there and make informed decisions. So that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
that's super important. And I also want to put in a plug for kids themselves, who I think are
Yes.
really clear-eyed about this, and, learn, in preschool, that when you have a difference with somebody else, that doesn't mean they're evil and wicked. That just means you have a difference, that you can agree to disagree. That's like that's the basic lesson of preschool. Kids get this, grown-ups forget it sometimes.
Yeah. And if anybody's having a problem today with a kid in school, just get over it. Forgive each other and move forward. That's the
Yeah.
lesson of today, because we all have bad days and we all have good days.
Yeah.
So you get your inspirations from a lot of different areas.
Mhm.
Some of your subjects that you talk about, like in your series, your chapter series, are things like biology, and do you have knowledge of all that stuff? Like, where do you get it
No,
from?
I have no knowledge of, I have no knowledge about animals or biology, but I get really fascinated, and I have been praised for my ability to make science simple, but that's because I don't understand anything. And I'm constantly reading children's books about, say, hyenas. I just like hyenas. I like them. I like hyenas because they look like they've been sewed together wrong. So I really like them. I thought, I'll just put a hyena in this book because I was hoping for an animal that began with H. And then I started reading up about hyenas. Hyenas are fascinating, but I don't know anything. I don't know anything about anything but books. So I'm utterly surprised by all the information I end up using in my books. I'm completely flummoxed by science, but every time I read a kid's book about, say, climate change, I'm completely fascinated.
So you don't have to be an expert to be able to write about it, right? Because yours is fiction. But you can look it up and
Yeah.
investigate, and you can learn. And that's another good tool is if you don't know something, investigate, go out and research it and try and find out, ask people, right?
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's amazing how little you have to know before people believe you. That might not be what the lesson you want me to tell people, but it's true. You just, do a little research and people think you know all sorts of things. It's great.
Yeah, well, that's why it's called fiction, right?
Yeah. You're not a charlatan, you're a fiction writer.
Yeah, exactly. I think that that's like such a good thing to also like talk about, is that you might have started books and then like scrapped them. Have there been many books that you've started and you said, oh, I'm not going to be able to pull this off, or I'm not going to be able to write it?
Yes. Yeah. There have been a lot. I mean, I have notebooks and notebooks filled with ideas, but they don't all turn into books. Sometimes an idea is worthy of 10 really great minutes, and I should be the only audience for it. Sometimes I think of an idea, I'm cracking myself up, and then I start to write it. I think this is really, really a bad idea. So yeah, you got to submit yourself to the test of trying to make it real and trying to make yourself understood in the world. I'm not the only reader I'm ever going to have, and that's really important to remember. So yeah, there's a lot of ideas that go absolutely nowhere, but that's fine. That's part of the process too. You got to be fruitful.
Yeah, we had Nancy Krulik on yesterday, and we were talking about, she keeps, journals. Just keep writing the journals, keep writing them, because those things that you might have scrapped might become a bestseller in 5 years. So
that'd be nice. Some stuff. I don't know about
but that's, for the kids, if they're not sure what to write about, or if they're, just keep notes and just keep writing notes about what they might want to, journal. And it would be a really, it's a good thing for them to kind of figure out ways in which they might want to go.
Consider it a spy notebook,
Oh, I like that idea. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Spy notebook.
Yeah, it's a spy notebook. Keep an eye on things. Keep an eye on people as well as yourself, and you've got enough information to write any book. You can write 25 books.
Right. I think another thing that you're very honest about, all the things that, you're not a great, you don't love spelling, things like that. And, I think the lesson is that we all don't have to be perfect, and you got to find out what you're really good at. Right. And you gotta focus on those things and get help when you need it in the other areas. Right.
Right. I think I love the saying that the perfect is the enemy of the good. I think the idea of perfection is a big problem, and that there's that it's almost as though you have to get rid of that. That has to end before you can actually make something good, because perfect isn't real.
Right, right. So if they got a 90 on a test, that's still really good. If they got a 70 on a test and it was their best effort and things that they could do, then that's really, really good.
Yep.
And I think that that's what, you as an author, you give people that opportunity, and you're very honest with where you are in your life and what you've done. And it's, I think there are lessons that are learned.
Yeah.
I'm just talking and I'm not even looking at the chat. And I know that there was, I know that there's like questions. Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm looking at chat. Lizzie wants to know, what was your favorite class in school? Oh, that's interesting.
My favorite class in school. Okay. When I was a kid, this is going to be kind of weird. Okay, I grew up in California. I still live in California. And there was this, when I was a little kid, there was this really weird phase in California where they just sort of let us do whatever we wanted to do. So I just would read. I read for years and years and years. That's all I did. So it wasn't as though I had a favorite class. Reading was my favorite thing. Reading was, I never learned math, or it took a long time before I learned math. This is why I can't spell. I don't know how to diagram a sentence. I just read a lot. And reading to me was like food. I just wanted to, it was the air that I breathed. And that's what I loved the most. And it's continued to be what I love the most. So that was my best, my favorite class, but it wasn't really a class. It's sort of all I did for many years.
Wow.
Which
And reading takes you everywhere, right?
Yeah,
reading can take you everywhere, and reading can
I
help
learned
you.
a little math. A little bit of math would have been good, but that's okay.
Yeah, you gotta learn your math. I gotta tell the kids, you gotta learn math.
A little bit.
You gotta learn the basics. Got to be able to get through life and do the basics. I always said algebra. I was like, okay, but what am I gonna do with that? Before we talked about partnering and teaming up, you've co-authored books, correct?
Yes, I have.
And how was that? Like, that must have been very different too.
Special situation. That was, I'll bring the book out right here. Here it is. It was called oh my gosh, I can't even see it. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. And I co-authored that book with my aunt. My aunt, Mary Ann Schaefer, began the book, and then she got ill and couldn't finish it. And she called me up and said, you're a writer, you'll be able to help me. Would you be willing to finish this book? So I took over. The book was almost done, but I took over and finished it up for her. And so that's not a very typical co-authoring journey. Because I think when you really co-author, you're much more working back and forth. Like one person does this draft and another person does that draft. In this case, it was very, very different because I just sort of took it from one point and finished it up. And I think if I had not known my aunt very, very well, I could not have done it. So I don't think it's normal what happened. Someday maybe I really will co-author with somebody else, and then I will understand just how different that was.
That's it's called a gift of love, right? That's what you did there. That was an act of love, and that's so sweet that you do that. I see that Judy is a teacher, and she said that novel is one of my favorite books of all time.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
That's what a great way to think of your aunt on that one as well.
It's all, I mean, I really wanted her to finish this book. It's what she cared about the most, and she couldn't do it by herself. So I was really glad to be able to help her out for this.
Well, you're a kind-hearted person for sure. And we're really grateful for your time here today. You're always animated. You're always good. Your books are, like I said, they show up in our warehouse all the time. I want to tell everybody to go out and get for your parents. Tell your parents you want it. Yep, absolutely.
What a cute book, you can say.
And read it together. Read it together. Because it's a really good lesson for us all in these crazy times that we live. I hope that you'll be back again next year. You're just such a great asset to us, and the kids absolutely love you. I think, like I said, I think we have 16 or 17 classes signed up for today
I can't.
alone. So say hi to all the kids that are out there. And thank you again. And I want to, as always, it's a fundraiser, because our goal is to ascend to distributing 1 million books a year in the next 5 years. So we wouldn't exist if we didn't have support from authors like you, or our sponsors of the read-a-thon, which are Amazon, Jovia Financial, Credit Union, and Serena and Associates. So those are our top supporters for the event. And follow us on social media, and we'll share all the rest of the amazing, generous sponsors for the event. But thank you again for everything.
And thank you.
We wish everybody a great day, right?
Congratulations to Book Fairies for all your good work.
Thank you. It takes a village, and we throw it right back at the authors themselves, but also to the teachers. And as you said before, rightly so, to all these students out there who are listening and paying attention, you don't have to be perfect. Give the best that you can. Ask for help when you need it. It takes a team to do everything that in life. And we all are like that. Nobody's perfect. So
that's the truth.
Remember that. Remember that.
Right.
And forgive your friends today if you had a fight.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and have a fantastic day. We appreciate you.
So
Thank you.
Bye-bye.